Now let's meet a gentleman from the very heyday of hippiedom.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Emmett Grogan.
Number two.
My name is Emmett Grogan.
Number three.
My name is Emmett Grogan.
And now let's listen to the counterculture chronicle of Emmett Grogan. He says, I, Emmett Grogan, have spent a large part of my life swimming against the American mainstream. I lived in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district during the heyday of the Flower Children movement, where I was responsible for the establishment of the Diggers. The Diggers were a freedom-loving group whose free stores and free theater was legendary in the counterculture. I have written a book telling of my life and times and the background of the hippie world with its heroes and anti-heroes. It's called Ring-a-Levio, A Life Played for Keeps. It is named for a street game played by New York youngsters, a game that tested the ability of its players to strive, endure, and win. Signed, Emmett Grogan. And as our resident expert on Ring-a-Levio, we'll turn to Joe Garagiola.
Okay, Gary. Number two, what's the difference between a hippie and a yippie?
Hippie is just the person who follows a style of life, and hippie is the person who is attracted to morons like Abbott Hoffman and Jerome Rubin.
Number three, who is Abbie Hoffman?
Abbie Hoffman, well, he's an outsider that got into a movement for his own personal gains. He got in there and did a little rebel rouse and helped bring the movement down.
Number one, is Tom Hayden a yippie or a hippie?
It's a yippie.
Yippie?
Yes.
Number two, where is Haight-Ashbury?
San Francisco.
Number three, where in San Francisco? North, south, east, west of town, what?
South.
South.
Thank you, Joe. Some straight questions, some straight answers. Peggy.
Number one, where was your store in New York?
Where was my store in New York?
Yeah.
There were none.
You didn't have a digger
Only
store
San
downtown?
Francisco. No, that was a ripoff by the Hells Angels.
Number two, do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Number three, what's the difference between the drugs that were taken, like, when was Haight-Ashbury, about 7 years ago, as compared to now? What's the difference in the drugs?
Well, like everything, they started out little grass and such, and then then it got heavy, you know. And then we got the people come down there and started tripping, speed, acids and such, but...
Okay, well, number two, don't you think that there's any difference in the kind of, like, kids don't take LSD so much anymore. What do they take more now?
Downers.
Thank you. On nuts.
Thank you, Peggy. No, they take very few nuts nowadays. It doesn't do much for you. Bill?
Number one, you mentioned in the affidavit the anti-heroes. Name the biggest the littlest anti-hero, the one you consider most along those lines.
Anti-heroes.
Uh-huh.
I would say the spirit of Humphrey Bogart. I wouldn't want to label one person.
No one person, no Abbie Hoffman or anything like that.
No, that's why.
Number two, something between the time it began and now, something has happened to that movement, the Haight-Ashbury salad days or whatever you want to call them. It's somewhere along the line seems to have gone off the track, and whether it went wrong or not, I don't know, but it's gone down. What's happened to it?
Well, now middle-class kids aren't leaving Larchmont, New York, and going to Haight-Ashbury and East Village. Now it's the working-class kids who are leaving their homes in West Virginia and places like that.
Interesting. Back to number one. Oh.
And Kitty Carlisle gets last whack.
Number three, is it not true that the free stores and the free movies and so forth, the reverse side of that coin was panhandling?
Well, what we wanted to do was to take our people off the street so they wouldn't have to go back to the establishment and panhandle, because it was still like they were given to you. So we figured we'd give to our own people, the independent.
But number one, where did you get the money to give if everything was free?
Frankly, it was stolen goods.
That's right, that's what I thought. Number two, there's something stronger now for an upper than LSD. What is it called?
Something stronger than LSD?
Yeah, they're taking something new.
Don't have
Maybe
any
we
idea.
shouldn't tell anybody. You're quite right. Number three, what is an actual rip-off? Does it mean stealing, or what does it mean?
Well, it comes in different shapes and form. It's according who you're doing it and way of doing it.
You're rather, well...
And
not
on that
I
note,
told
the
you
little
that.
bell rings. That means we have no more time for questions. Mark your ballots, please. The audience now take another look at number 1, and number 2, and number 3. And Joe has made up his mind, so if you'll show your ballot, Joe.
I vote for number 2. He was just too solid for me, and he wasn't president of the Abby Hoffman fan club either.
All righty, so you got a 2 showing, and we're going to Peggy.
Well, number 2, doing the big change in drugs, he's perfectly right. Kids take downers now, and they don't touch that LSD so much. It's 2. I'm sure it's 2.
Got a pair of 2s, and Bill.
Boy, here I go again. Wrong. Well, anyway, number 1 impressed me as a person who could have and probably did write a book. He was adequately cautious.
All righty.
That's exactly why I voted for him. I think he's a responsible fellow who doesn't want to be sued because he's going to make a lot of money from his book.
You got a pair of 1s, a pair of 2s, and nobody for number 3? All right, this is the way we voted here. At this point, will the real Emmett Grogan please stand up?
It isn't.
Thank you, Emmett. You'll find out in a minute why I asked about number 3, who I thought was just great. Number 1, what is your real name? What do you do?
My real name is Richard Dono. I'm a land developer in Union County in New Jersey.
Good to have you here. And as a fake representative from the counterculture, we have number 3. What is your real name, sir? What do you do?
My name is Robert Volpe, New York City detective.
By the way, this is not only a fascinating book to read because it tells you about what it was the hippie movement originally started. It's a very handsome book.
It's gorgeous.
Well, I'll tell you, the cover is by Larry Rivers.
Oh, no wonder it's gorgeous.
Who we had on this show, you know.
Sensational.
Magnificent. Can you tell me in 5... I don't have time to tell you. I'll tell them what you're doing right now with your life. You're working up in Brownsville, right?
Yes, and also I'm writing a book on the impossibility of fair play in democratic society because of loneliness.
All right, thank you, Emmett Grogan, and thank you, gentlemen, for being with us on Tell the Truth.
Mr. Brady almost...
I am in disagreement with a great deal of what Emmett Grogan says. I am in agreement with a great deal that he does say, too. One impression, however, was left by number 1 when we asked about where did the money for the diggers came from. He said it was from stolen goods. The diggers actually worked. They went out each day and did some kind of work to provide free food for the other people. We didn't want to leave that impression. So, until tomorrow, come to the same time, take care of yourselves and we'll see you around.
Our central characters today will receive a lovely dress from Sue Brett, the House of Many Moods. Sue Brett dresses in ensembles that create excitement and fit to perfection. Promotional consideration provided by Best Western Motels, the nation's largest chain of 1,200 fine owner-operated motels in 900 cities from coast to coast.
Hey, what the blank is going on here? What the blank is he doing? What kind of a blanking show is this, anyways? I don't believe this blank. Hey, I know her and him. They're blanking hilarious. Oh, get a load of this blank. Holy blank, this is funny. What a great blanking idea for a game show. Match Game. You'll laugh your blank off. Today at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, only on Game Show Network.